Now, the exodus out of big states like New Jersey, California, Illinois, New York, it continues. In fact, tonight we are now broadcasting from my new home, the great free state of Florida.
Sean Hannity, one of the most powerful voices in conservative media, a fixture on Fox News for decades, banned from the network. It sounds unthinkable, but it's real. After years of shaping headlines and driving the national conversation, Hannity's tenure has come to a dramatic end. What led to this shocking fallout? What did he do to push the network to take such a drastic step? The answers are as explosive as the headlines themselves. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this. Sean Hannity's next chapter. Sean Hannity has officially packed his bags, kissed the Empire State goodbye, and traded it all in for palm trees, sunshine, and, well, a whole lot of Republican representation. Yep, the Fox News star has finally made the big move south to what he calls the free state of Florida. It wasn't exactly an immediate decision. It's been years in the making. He already owned a luxury townhouse in Palm Beach, just a short drive from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. On January 2nd, 2025, Hannity kicked off his iHeartRadio broadcast with a proud announcement. We are now beginning our first broadcast from my new home, and that is in the free state of Florida. I am out, I am done, I am finished in New York. Dramatic? Of course. But would we expect anything less? So why the big move? According to Hannity, it's all about escaping the so-called liberal dystopia of high taxes, heavy regulations, and those horrible school districts. In Florida, he says, there's no state income tax, which means more money for him and less for what he calls burdensome government policies. But it's not just about the money. For the first time in his adult life, he says, his representatives actually align with his political values. He openly admires Florida's conservative leadership, praising Governor Ron DeSantis and Senators Marco Rubio and Rick Scott. Finally, Hannity declared, I have a government I agree with. He's clearly found his happy place. Now, don't think this move means you won't catch him back in New York now and then. While Hannity has been broadcasting from his tricked-out Long Island studio for years, he's also been known to pop into Fox News' Manhattan headquarters for the occasional live audience show. The question now is, how often will we see him braving the Big Apple's blue state chaos to tape these specials? Guess we'll have to stay tuned. This migration south, though, isn't just about one high-profile move. It's part of a larger cultural and political trend. Hannity himself pointed out that more and more people are leaving blue states for red ones. Whether it's taxes, politics, or just a change of scenery, the movement is real, and he's now a very public face of it. And let's not forget that this wasn't some modest relocation. Back in April 2021, Hannity dropped $5.3 million on his Palm Beach townhouse, a sleek, upscale move that made headlines at the time. But Palm Beach itself had other plans. The town's strict zoning rules reportedly threw a wrench into Hannity's broadcasting ambitions, preventing him from turning his luxurious home into a full-time studio. Even the Palm Beach Daily News confirmed this little hiccup, proving that even high-profile moves come with their own set of challenges. According to Margaret Zeidman, president of the Palm Beach Town Council, the town has strict regulations that prohibit running businesses out of private residences, a rule that even the late Rush Limbaugh couldn't sidestep. Limbaugh himself had to secure a commercial space for his radio show, despite owning a sprawling oceanfront estate in the same area. Tax records from Palm Beach County revealed another interesting detail. Hannity hadn't registered his townhouse as his primary residence. This left many scratching their heads. Was his Palm Beach home not meant to be permanent? For a while, it seemed like he might change his mind about leaving New York entirely. But then he made it official. Florida wasn't just a winter escape, it was home. And when Sean Hannity does something, he does it big. Within a year of declaring his departure from New York, Hannity took his Florida living to a whole new level. At 62 years old, he settled into a stunning waterfront mansion in Manalapan, a prestigious enclave in Palm Beach County. The price tag? A cool $23.5 million. Situated on a barrier island, the mansion offers jaw-dropping views of both the Atlantic Ocean and the Intracoastal Waterway. Originally sold for $18 million in 2021, the property underwent significant renovations before Hannity moved in. Think sleek, modern updates, revamped bathrooms, brand new flooring, and impact-resistant sliding windows, all adding a touch of contemporary luxury. Sprawling across nearly 2 acres, the estate includes almost 1,200 square feet of living space. Built in 1990, this waterfront masterpiece boasts 8 bedrooms and 10 bathrooms, making it a perfect spot for entertaining friends, family, or VIP guests. It's classic Florida living at its finest, with amenities that scream both style and leisure. Let's start outside. The property features a sparkling swimming pool to cool off on those hot Florida days, a dock complete with a brand new seawall, and a balcony perfect for soaking in the warm breezes and stunning waterfront views. And for the ultimate wow factor, a rooftop observation terrace where Hannity can take in panoramic views of the Atlantic Ocean and the Intracoastal Waterway. Inside, the luxury continues. The mansion includes a cozy fireplace for those rare chilly evenings, a bar for entertaining, and even a wine room to house an impressive collection. Need to move between floors effortlessly? No problem, there's an elevator, with large windows that flood the space with natural light. The home also features a sleek kitchen with plenty of space for dining and storage. According to the Wall Street Journal, the property originally hit the market in February 24 for $20 million before being relisted. In October at almost $25 million, a significant discount. Online photos reveal a stylish yet welcoming design, with water views visible from nearly every room, including the living area, dining room, and home office. For Hannity, it's the ultimate backdrop for both work and relaxation. Not everyone is sold on the property's charm, though. Local real estate agents have hinted that some buyers might see the home as a teardown opportunity, opting to rebuild something entirely new on the nearly 2 acres of prime land. But for Hannity, this mansion fits the bill perfectly. For Hannity, however, the mansion is a perfect fit. He's already embraced Florida life with open arms, putting his Long Island home on the market earlier this year for $13.75 million. And apparently the buyer identified themselves as a devoted fan of the Fox News star. The sprawling Long Island estate served as more than just a home, functioning as a high-tech broadcasting hub with a 7-bedroom mansion and a fully equipped studio. Hannity originally purchased it for $8.5 million back in 2008, signaling his dedication to building a media empire right from the comfort of his own backyard. Fast forward to 2021, and the seeds of his Florida relocation were already being sown. Hannity bought a 3,800 square foot vacation home in Palm Beach for $5.3 million. At first, it seemed like just another retreat for a busy media mogul. But as time went on, it became clear that this wasn't just a seasonal getaway. It was the beginning of a major life shift. However, as luxurious as that property was, it didn't quite match Hannity's larger-than-life vision. So he upgraded, going all in on his $23.5 million waterfront mansion, complete with every amenity you'd expect from Florida's elite lifestyle. Now based just a half-hour from Palm Beach, Hannity's new home represents more than just square footage. It's a declaration of independence, a pursuit of what he calls freedom. But this move has left many wondering, can Hannity make an even bigger impact in Florida than he did in New York? And could this relocation be a signal that his time at Fox News is winding down? Sean Hannity's high-profile move to Florida fits into a larger trend, the well-documented migration of New Yorkers heading to red states in search of political alignment, lower taxes, or simply a sunnier lifestyle. But is this trend as straightforward as it seems? Let's dive into the numbers and unpack what's really happening behind these headline-making moves. The red state exodus. The Census Bureau's latest figures tell us that over 200,000 residents packed their bags and left New York in 2022, the largest exodus in the nation. That's a staggering statistic, and one that feeds into Hannity's claim that people are fleeing liberal states for Republican-led ones. But are New Yorkers really making the leap to majority Republican states in droves? The answer, as always, is a bit more complicated. Research by the Fiscal Policy Institute shed some light on the top destinations for these New York transplants. Sure enough, Florida leads the pack, with 17% of those leaving New York heading to the Sunshine State. So why are so many people drawn to red states like Florida in the first place? It's not just about politics. These states often boast lower taxes, a lighter regulatory touch, and a reputation for being more business-friendly. For retirees, there's the added bonus of warm weather and no state income tax on retirement income. For families, it might mean lower cost of living expenses and more space to grow. But it's crucial to examine what this migration means beyond economics. One overlooked yet significant factor is the stark difference in life expectancy across these states, a gap that raises questions about the long-term trade-offs of such moves. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, people born in New York and California, two wealthy, predominantly Democratic states, enjoy a life expectancy of 78 and 79 years respectively. Contrast that with Mississippi and Louisiana, two of the poorest, most Republican-leaning states, where life expectancy drops dramatically to 71 and 73 years. That's a difference of nearly a decade in some cases. Why does this disparity exist? A big part of the answer lies in poverty. Red states tend to have higher rates of poverty than blue states, and poverty is a strong indicator of life expectancy. The poorer someone is, the more likely they are to face health challenges, limited access to quality care, and higher mortality rates. But poverty alone doesn't tell the whole story. People in red states often face worse overall health conditions, higher rates of gun-related deaths, and lower levels of education compared to their blue state counterparts. These factors all contribute to shorter lifespans. It's a grim reality, one that reflects broader systemic inequalities across the country, and yet people continue to migrate to these states. Why? For some, it's purely financial, escaping the crushing cost of living in places like New York and California. For others, it's about finding communities that align with their cultural or political values, even if the trade-off means facing worse health outcomes or fewer educational opportunities for their children. But there's something deeper at play. People may not always weigh life expectancy or broader social indicators in their decision-making. Instead, the allure of immediate affordability, space, and lower taxes can overshadow the longer-term realities of health and well-being. Add to this the media narratives that frame these moves as reclaiming freedom or pursuing a better life, and it's easy to see why the risk might be overlooked. As Americans continue to migrate across state lines, sometimes driven by political ideologies, it raises important questions about the long-term implications of these moves. While blue zip codes become bluer and red ones deepen their conservatism, these choices about where to live don't just reflect values. They actively shape the length and quality of people's lives. It's a reminder that geography is more than just a backdrop. It's a critical factor in determining health, opportunity, and future outcomes. But as Americans reshape their lives based on ideological lines, figures like Sean Hannity play a critical role in fueling these divides. His rise to prominence reveals how the media not only reflects but amplifies the polarization shaping modern America. The mastermind of conservative talk radio, Sean Hannity didn't just become a conservative media powerhouse overnight. It's the culmination of years spent building a loyal audience, mastering his craft, and aligning himself with the right political and media figures at pivotal moments. While today he's one of the most recognizable faces on Fox News and a trusted voice for conservative America, Hannity's path to influence started not in front of the camera, but behind the microphone. What many people overlook is that radio, while often seen as less glamorous than television, wields enormous influence. It's a medium that builds deep, personal connections with listeners. And for Sean Hannity, radio has always been home. Long before his nightly TV show reached millions, Hannity was honing his skills on the airwaves in places like Huntsville, Alabama, and Atlanta, Georgia. As he himself has noted, radio gave him more time, more reach, and an intimacy with his audience that television couldn't match. But his journey wasn't without its stumbles. Early in his career, Hannity took a shot at college radio in Santa Barbara, California, a venture he openly admits was a failure. At the time, he was navigating a space far removed from the conservative strongholds he'd later dominate, and he said, "Look, I was terrible." Yet that experience was formative, pushing him to refine his voice and find his footing in a medium where he could thrive. From there, he moved to Atlanta, hosting a morning drive show and slowly building his reputation. It was this grassroots approach, connecting with everyday listeners in key conservative regions, that gave him the foundation for his later success. By the time he transitioned to TV, he had already cultivated a loyal fan base. The big break came when Roger Ailes, the legendary and controversial founder of Fox News, spotted Hannity's potential. This discovery led to his role on Hannity and Colmes, a program that paired Hannity with liberal co-host Alan Colmes in a classic right versus left debate format. Around the same time, Hannity joined New York's WABC radio station, further expanding his influence. By 2001, the search for new syndicated conservative stars was underway, and Hannity was perfectly positioned to step into the role. When ABC Radio decided to syndicate him that same year, they were betting on his ability to resonate with conservative listeners across major markets. But the timing of his debut, September 10, 2001, added an unexpected seismic shift to his trajectory, as the events of the following day reshaped the political and media landscape in ways no one could have foreseen. The very next day, September 11, 2001, changed the face of the country. In the aftermath of the attacks, Americans turned to talk radio like never before. It wasn't just a source of news, it became a place for people to process their grief, anger, and uncertainty. Hannity, already skilled at connecting with listeners on a personal level, became a prominent voice in this virtual community. As his show reached new ears, many listeners found comfort and validation in his words. For some, he was a voice for their values, their frustrations, and their fears. His success skyrocketed as a result. People who had never heard of Sean Hannity tuned in, liked what they heard, and kept coming back. It wasn't long before he cemented his position as the number 2 figure in talk radio, second only to Rush Limbaugh. Callers often said, "Thank God you're out there, Sean. We have a voice now." This bond wasn't just about the politics, it was about connection. Talk radio, by its nature, fosters an unusually intimate bond between host and listener. Truck drivers, farmers, and countless others who spend hours on the road or in solitary jobs tune in daily, 5 days a week, year-round. They develop a connection with their favorite host that can feel as personal as a friendship. For many conservative listeners, they saw him as someone who reflected their values and stood up for them. He became the person who punched back against the elites, the media, and anyone they felt was maligning or dismissing them. In a polarized political climate, this role was pivotal. Hannity didn't just deliver commentary, he gave his listeners a sense of belonging and empowerment. His show was about building a community, giving a voice to those who felt unheard, and in many cases, fighting their battles on the airwaves. From that fateful September debut, Sean Hannity's trajectory was unstoppable. The combination of his timing, talent, and ability to resonate with his audience transformed him into one of the most powerful voices in conservative media, a role he continues to hold today. Hannity's influence reached new heights during Donald Trump's rise to power and his eventual victory in the 2016 presidential election. While the influence of talk radio in general elections is often limited by the sheer volume of competing information, 2016 was a unique moment, and Hannity played a critical role in framing the stakes for Republican voters. Looking back to the 2015 Republican primary, some argue that if influential conservative voices like Hannity had been staunchly opposed to Trump from the beginning, they might have derailed his candidacy. Early in the race, there was room for other Republican contenders to challenge Trump's dominance. But Hannity, along with many in conservative media, leaned into Trump's outsider status and resonant messaging, helping solidify his position as the frontrunner. By the time the general election rolled around, Trump faced a steeper challenge, persuading conservatives with reservations about his morals, qualifications, and policies to cast their vote for him. This is where talk radio, and Hannity in particular, stepped in with a relentless campaign of framing the election as a binary choice. For those with doubts about Trump, Hannity's message was clear: Hillary Clinton is worse. Through a drumbeat of criticism targeting Clinton, Hannity and his peers kept the focus on her perceived flaws, her emails, her trustworthiness, and her alignment with liberal policies. This constant framing was about convincing voters to see him as the lesser of two evils. For many conservatives, the idea of a Clinton presidency was painted as an existential threat to their values, making any misgivings about Trump easier to set aside. The strategy of simplifying the stakes and keeping the audience laser-focused on the negatives of the opposition is a hallmark of talk radio, especially during election seasons. Hannity and others created a narrative that resonated deeply with their listeners. No matter what concerns you might have about the Republican candidate, Voting Republican is the only option to preserve conservative ideals. This messaging worked. Hannity's influence helped galvanize conservative voters who might have otherwise stayed home, tipping key battleground states and securing Trump's path to the presidency. The election of 2016 wasn't just about Trump's bombastic style or Clinton's controversies. It was also about the role media figures like Sean Hannity played in shaping the narrative, framing the stakes, and mobilizing a deeply loyal audience. Sean Hannity's move to Florida isn't just about a change of scenery. It's a bold shift that reflects his evolving role in conservative media and politics. With his new home base in the Sunshine State, a haven for conservative power players, the question now is, what's next for Hannity? Could this move signal an even bigger chapter in his influence? One thing's certain, Lenora, whether it's on the airwaves, on screen, or behind the scenes, Hannity's story is far from over. Let us know what you think is ahead for him in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more insights on the stories shaping our world. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.